Nice too. I'm liking the grandpa look.
Oh, the old
Lilith Lothar gets a
fantastic
streak
movie
in her
was
hair
so
after taking part in
bad.
Ida's curse.
God.
As you can tell, a lot of these white streaks are implanted on these
Terrible.
characters after
Still haven't
surviving
seen the
physically
new one,
taxing
by the
events.
way.
Now he has
I
more white
refuse to because
feathers
of
on
the
his neck.
silver surfer.
I wonder what happened to him.
Hi, yo. Okay. I had two white hair VTubers before I went like
Clear through the
blonde.
dissection of character traits associated with different hair colors that the color of a character's hair can hold a number of diverse symbolisms in relation to their personality, the story, and historical practices. This can also be true in the absence of color. You know the drill. I'm going to go through a number of examples of characters in media with white hair and sort them into groups with different symbolisms for the color. So, as always, natural hair colors often represent natural characters. So an unnatural color...
We all know, right, from Pokemon that blonde people don't exist. Naturally blonde. They don't exist, all right? White hair usually, like, means, to me, is like something of wisdom, right? And you've been around for a long time. You gather a lot of wisdom. Yeah, you're old and wise. That's how I say what, like, not like necessarily grandpa and grandma. No, white hair, like, you know, fantasy figures and anime characters and all this. It's like, as soon as you got like a character with white hair, you know that they're the smart ones, right? They've been around for a long time.
Can be used to represent unnatural abilities.
Usually like
White
main
is no
character,
exception, and is very often
main
used to depict
characters.
cosmic or innate power. Kita is an Atlantean princess who's thousands of years old. Harnesses power from...
Aww. She's my favorite. I love the Princess Kira. Yeah, from the Atlantis. Yeah.
The Atlantean crystal and has white hair. The white hair is a trait shared by all the Atlanteans in this movie. Her appearance was intentionally designed to emphasize her connection to the mystical lost civilization and make her immediately unique
That's
to Milo
beautiful
and his crew.
design.
Just as far as Kita's design and the Atlanteans in general, what we tried to do.
Also, I find like Kira reminds me like the art style is more into like Japanese anime. If I look at it, it's like not the typical average Disney art style, if that makes sense, right? Kita is my favorite. Yeah. Ariel, number one princess, then Kita, and then I guess Mulan won over Pocahontas. So yeah.
Do is find a mixture of different cultures and different races and then put some of those elements in there. She's got white hair, but really dark skin.
Another character whose white hair relates to powers and royal lineage is Storm. She's both descended from a royal line of priestesses who all have white hair, and she has powers as an Omega-level mutant. Characters like Amalthea from The Last Unicorn and Mara from She-Ra both have hair color changes after a change of state. Amalthea has white hair when she's turned human, as a direct association to her unicorn form, and Mara's brown hair turns white when she turns into her She-Ra form, both related to magical events. Aisling from Secret of Kells is a magical spirit, whose white hair, like Amalthea's, is also related to the color of an animal form. This magical nature of the white hair is wide-reaching. Like in The Sixth Sense,
many cool
Cole and
characters.
Vincent both have white patches of hair, as a nod to their supernatural abilities, their joint connection to the spirit world.
Dude,
the lock of white hair.
I never realized this. Like, really? They have patches of white hair? I didn't even know that. I watched like The Sixth Sense so many times, and it's like these little details. Nah.
That like everyone's like,
The
"What's
great
that about?
movie,
What's
by
that
the
about?"
way.
This is one of those details that I put in when people that have had very
Yeah, it's like a tiny little Easter egg. I didn't even realize, man.
traumatic experiences, you know. Sometimes they lose
Atlantis,
pigment
the
in their
Lost
hair.
Empire.
You know,
Such a
when you have
great
very
movie.
bad accident or something, they wake up in the morning, they've lost pigment in their hair. It's a kind of a very cool, real phenomenon. And I thought, gosh, if anybody was going to lose pigment in their hair, it'd be these kids that have the sixth sense, because they turn around and there's somebody with their arm hanging off.
This magic can also be more fantasy-based. There's a ton of examples of elves having white hair in movies and TV. The Moonshadow Elves and Erebos from The Dragon Prince, the shape-shifting elf-like clone from Black Star, literary characters like Driz Do'Urden from 1988's The Crystal Shard, and literary characters brought to the screen like a number of elves from Lord of the Rings. One character that's not an elf but is still associated with fantasy is Princess Bean from Disenchantment. Her white hair is inherited from her mother, and she lives in the medieval kingdom of Dreamland, inhabited by fantasy creatures like elves, fairies, and demons. Bean's white hair ends up being a hint to her magical ability, and her place in the Dark Prophecy, with her stark white hair being an indicator that she stands out among the citizens of Dreamland, and a contrast to the family's debt with Hell, a notorious...
Yeah, Atlantis is one of my favorite Disney animated movies as well, because it has like such an awesome take of, you know, the adventure going inside the planet, discovering there's this whole new utopia, like the old kingdom, and the characters are so well written as well. I love it. And then, you know, the science dweeb that figures it all out. Then they got like machines that flying around. It's cool. Yeah.
dark place, and her ability to summon black lightning. And Bean is not the only white-haired princess in a fantasy show to exist. There's another whole show filled with them. The Targaryens from Game of Thrones are characterized by their long white hair. Symbolically, I think the silvery white hair
all the main
sported by the
characters
Targaryens
have
in the show and the Song of Fire and
hair.
Ice books are related to the ongoing discussion of morality.
I've always been attracted to gray characters. I believe in gray characters. I don't believe in black and white characters. You know, I'm notorious for my love of gray characters.
So the author, George R. R. Martin's fascination with stories about morally gray characters comes up as early as the title, A Song of Ice and Fire. Ice and fire being two opposing forces. Then he creates this story about contrasting forces of good and evil and the existence of a gray morality zone, centered around this often tyrannical and destructive family recognized by their bright white hair that's meant to represent their genetic purity. It goes back to what Martin said, about a character's appearance not being indicative of their morality.
And I think the battle of good and evil is a terrific subject for fiction, but I don't think it's fought between the band of heroes on one side and the orcs on the other side. Really good-looking guys in white cloaks on white horses. On the other side, a bunch of really ugly guys who wear black and smell bad. And really ugly guys in black armor who smell bad.
Then there's the interesting aspect of this family, where the white hair is desirable because it's indicative of the pure bloodline and their connection to Valyria, and other hair colors are disapproved of.
Actually, I never watched
This is a
Game of
deviation from the
Thrones.
usual impression of white hair. Since natural colors are expected, white hair can be seen as a deviation from that. This relates to the next category, which includes characters who have white hair as a way to separate them. The Nickelodeon cartoon The Loud House follows a family with 11 children, 10 girls and 1 boy. The one boy, Lincoln Loud, has white hair, which immediately distinguishes him from his siblings. It makes sense for a show about an 11-year-old navigating life as the only boy in a house full of girls. In one episode, he's tasked with doing a report on his birth for school, and after finding a blank baby book in the attic, he begins to think he was switched at birth, which is only bolstered by the fact that he locates a family with white hair and a daughter that looks and acts exactly like his sisters.
Let's face it, Clyde. Those white-haired people are my real parents.
Lincoln has siblings with blonde, brown, and black hair, but those are all natural. A child with a hair color associated with age immediately raises some questions and draws attention to them, which is helpful since he's the main character and would want attention to be drawn to him. The white hair might also be a nod to the original pitch for the show, which was meant to follow Warren, a white rabbit with 25 sisters. Arthur from Arthur and the Invisibles is a human. He ends up traveling to the land of the Minimoys to find lost treasure. He's turned into a Minimoy, and aside from getting a new wardrobe and turning into a cartoon, the transformation also gives him a head of spiky white hair. Throughout the movie, his appearance helps the audience.
I couldn't watch it. There's something about the art style or like the animation that just is so eerie. I don't know. It doesn't have like that Pixar effect, you know, like First of all, I've always favorited 2D over 3D. Like, I don't know. It's a preference, right? It's a personal preference. Even if, like, Disney movies, I like the older cartoons where they actually drew everything on paper better than the animated Pixar movies. I'm not saying that they're not great. It's just like if you ask me, particularly like when it comes to the style, same with VTubers. I think 3D VTubers are amazing and they have so much potential and you can move around so much more and they're fucking cool. But it's something that, I don't know, 2D looks so much better. And Arthur in particular, this movie, I remember when this came out, right? It was everywhere, like Happy Meals, like at McDonald's. And I don't know, I hated the character. I got like nightmares from him. It's like, dude, it's so freaky.
It's distinguish him from the rest of the Minimoys, many of which have red hair.
Nah.
His hair is a way to show that while he is their size and is interacting with them, he's clearly different. The way Arthur turns into a Minimoy might also have an impact on his appearance.
They tried to make him
cute, the power of the full moon, an object that is famously, from our perspective, bright white. Ariane is a character whose white hair also...
And I don't like live action where they put where they put like, you know, no animated movies where they look almost like live action, but like weird.
Relates to her separation from others, but not in a metaphorical sense, in a literal sense.
It's a long
She grows
time
up on
ago,
the
20
remote
years
station of
ago.
Wang and eventually becomes
As a
fully
matter of
isolated
fact.
after the Penrose mission. Bam Bam Rubble is another character
20
whose white hair draws
years.
attention to his separation. The fact that this
Bam
color is
Bam.
uncommon for a toddler draws attention to him, and it also serves as a visual indicator of his distinction from his parents, since Bam Bam is adopted. Speaking of the Flintstones, Judy Jackson.
So you mean if you have like black hair and then a blonde, they get a like white hair kid? Bam Bam.
Also has white hair, and coincides with a small category related to the future. The Jetsons live in 2062, and Judy is meant to be a
Jetsons is the
feisty,
best
fashionable
future,
teenager.
man.
So
Why
she has
don't we live
stylish,
in a
futuristic
Jetson
hair.
future?
Archer is a future version of Shiro Emiya. 2B lives thousands of years in the future, and she's an
You don't
android,
look
a piece
like
of
a
technology
banana
often designed
or
in
a
white to
Jew.
appear futuristic. White is often
Banana
displayed as
Juju
a
is
pretty futuristic color in general,
food
with its
item from a
association to
video game,
technology and
Chunky
sleek,
Monkey.
minimalistic designs.
What do
So
you
these connections are pretty
mean?
one-to-one.
Look at
There are a couple other
this.
direct ones. A connection to an
Biggest
object or
banana
person.
ever.
Speed from Marvel Comics has white hair as a nod to his uncle. Carlos has white hair as a nod to his mother. Jet from Valorant has cloud-based powers. And Bunny Blanc from Ever After High has white hair because she's related to the White Rabbit. Other times, the white is an association to its clearest connotation: age. The fairy godmother, Santa, Carl Fredricksen, Alfred, they all have white hair to display their age, to make them look grandmotherly, crotchety, or crazy. Eccentric might be a better word for him, actually. Characters like Doc Brown and Angie Wook have wild, frizzy hair to depict their peculiarity. The white hair can be eccentric like theirs, or like Jacobi Mugatu's from Zoolander, to show a satirical, high-fashion, elevated look. The next category relates to
They
a pretty
kinda
obvious
stick out,
connotation
right?
between white
As soon
and
as
the
you
cold.
got white hair, you
Periwinkle
kind
from
of stick
Tinkerbell
out.
has white hair because she's a frost fairy that lives in the winter woods. Snow
Right.
Miser from A Year Without
You
Santa Claus
know-
is designed with cool colors, seeing that he's Mr. White Christmas. His blue long-sleeve shirt and gloves are finished off with a head of
Wait.
translucent white hair,
So
designed
did
to
he
look
just
like a
say
black
that
bite.
Quicksilver? No, I think Speed. It- Quicksilver has the white hair due to his uncle. Is that what he said? Didn't he say Speed? I don't think he called him Quicksilver. I think he just said Speed because of his uncle. And isn't Quicksilver the son of Magneto? And Magneto didn't have... Did Magneto have gray hair? He was wearing this helmet. It doesn't matter what kind of hairstyle. He was wearing this freaky Magneto helmet. Without the Santa Claus and the Christmas tradition. Mm-hmm.
Elsa has white hair, possibly very light
Magneto's
blonde
hair
that
is
looks more
white?
stark white in the second film. Her hair could simply be related to her being Scandinavian. Arendelle, the fictional kingdom where Frozen is set, is based on Norway.
Dude, that would be blonde and not white. It's not that we'd have white hair. Elsa has the because of the snow, right? She's the snow queen.
And about 75% of Norwegian people have naturally blonde hair. The only issue with this is that her sister and her parents have brown and red hair, so her white hair could be more in relation to her ice powers. This influence becomes clear when looking at her concept art, where her hair was originally imagined as a white ice crown or a short white bob. Princess
Doesn't have to go after the parents. My mama, she had like dark blonde, almost brown hair, and then my father, he had like black hair. And I got blonde hair, my little sister got blonde hair, and my oldest brother has blonde hair. And then my two other brothers, they have brown hair, almost dark black. Yeah. So, and one of them, he has like blonde hair in the summer, but dark hair in the winter, which is weird. So, three of us are blondes, but our parents, yeah, don't always have to have the same hair color, right? Could be like jumping one gene pool, like my grandparents or something.
Yue, another royal figure, also has white hair, in relation to her identity
Norway
as a
is
member of the Northern Water
beautiful.
Tribe, and one other thing we'll
with all
discuss
the
later.
fjords.
Jackie Frost and North
Yeah,
Wind
yeah,
from
yeah.
Ever After High are the children of Jack Frost, which, hey, speaking of Jack Frost, in Rise of the Guardians, he's associated with the cold through his ability to control the winter weather. Jack Frost actually fits into the next category of white-haired characters, too.
Oh, my
Because although
tummy's
his hair
making
is
noises,
associated with the
guys. I'm
cold,
getting
it's also
hungry.
related to him experiencing a change. Tons of characters develop either fully white hair or a white streak as a result of a specific event. For Jack Frost, this event was falling through the ice and drowning in an attempt to save his younger sister, an act of selflessness that led him to be chosen as a guardian by the Man in the Moon. His brown hair was turned white, and
I
his
don't think I've seen
transformation
this
into the
one.
spirit of winter was complete. The villain of this movie is also Pitch Black, a being who thrived on the rampant fear in the Dark Ages, and ends up being defeated by Jack, a guardian who represents joy and hope, and was reborn from one of the only consistent sources of light in the dark. In terms of other characters that have this immediate change, sometimes it only turns white temporarily, like for Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer when she performs a powerful spell.
Yeah.
Sometimes the event gives the character a lasting streak. In the original X-Men trilogy, Rogue has fully brown hair. After her experience having her powers drained from Magneto's machine on Liberty Island, she ends up with a white streak in her hair. Mr. Fantastic, in the 2005 movie, gains his white streaks after being exposed to the cosmic rays and gaining his powers.
Nice too. Liking the grandpa look.
Oh, the old
Lilith Faulkner
Fantastic
gets a streak
movie
in her
was
hair
so
after taking part in
bad.
Ida's curse. As you can tell,
God.
a lot of these white streaks are implanted on
Terrible.
these characters after
Still haven't
surviving
seen the
physically
new
taxing
one, by the
events.
way.
Now he has
I
more white
refused to
feathers
because of
on
the
his neck.
Silver Surfer.
I wonder what happened to him.
I don't know. Sometimes if a person has a traumatic experience, their hair turns white.
These
Yeah.
can definitely vary, like Percy and Annabeth getting white streaks as a result of holding up the sky, and Butch from Recess getting
I
one
got
after being
lots of
traumatized by
gray
seeing
hair
his
last
brother kiss a
year.
girl. Claire Nunez from Trollhunters has a streak of blue hair that turns white after being corrupted by
Streaks of
Morgana, an
gray
evil
hair?
sorceress. In this streak
of
subcategory,
lies?
some characters gain a streak through a traumatic experience or action, and it steadily grows bigger throughout the story. This happens to a character who's actually pretty similar to Claire. Claudia from The Dragon Prince goes through an extreme physical change throughout the series. In the first episode, she has long black hair, but as she falls deeper into dark magic, its corruption begins to manifest in her appearance, and her hair slowly turns fully white.
Does Claudia know, like, all the things that will happen to her once she uses that dark magic? Like, she used the huge spell, and, you know, there could be consequences. Does she know?
She knows it uses something up inside you, and I think after what happens in season 2, that she understands, like, oh, there may be
power
a
gets drained,
growing
right?
physical cost.
The dark magic is slowly chipping away at her, and transforming her physically and mentally into a different person. A similar thing happens to Simon Petrikov from Adventure Time, who gains a white streak which turns into a fully white head of hair as a result of the negative influence of the Ice Crown. Shiro from Voltron
The
gains a white
Ice
patch of hair, which
King.
then turns fully white after a straining
Love that
life-saving
guy.
event. The gradual change of one's hair color from the original color to white is explained in the show to be a result of continual exposure to quintessence, through the character of Enerva. Watching a character have the color slowly drained out of their hair also communicates to the audience that they're losing their life force, or individuality, or humanity because of an addiction to a dark, harmful power. There's 2 more interesting examples of this gradually expanding white hair. First is Anna from Frozen. She's one of the few characters whose white streak actually goes away by the end of the film. She's struck in the head by an ice blast from her sister when she's a child, and a streak of her hair turns white. Then, in adulthood, she gets struck again in the heart, and the white streak begins expanding.
Worry about your hair.
What? I just fell off a cliff. You should see your hair.
No, yours is turning white.
White?
You're getting old.
The streak ends up expanding to the point that all of her hair is white. But
Getting
when she's
old and
unfrozen with the act
gray.
of true love, all of her hair goes back to being red.
What's
If the
happening
white
to
streak is
you,
often
lady?
used to represent the lasting impact of a traumatic event, though, it makes sense that hers disappears when she mends her relationship with Elsa. The other interesting example is from probably the most recent thing on this list. 2025's Game of the Year, and winner of like 400 other awards, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Renoir is referred to as the white-haired man.
No spoilers. Oh God, no spoilers. It's just like da 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 da. Because I'm playing that game at the moment. I know there's a dude that looks much older than the rest of all the expeditioners, right? But me and Happy, we're playing this game at the moment, and so I'm jumping ahead. Here we go. White hair man. No, wait. Okay, it's safe. I'm sorry, guys. No spoilers. It's just like so nervous that they show something, right? Oh Lord, no E33 spoilers. It's such a good first time blind game. Exactly, that's why I'm not playing it on stream. It's just for me and Happy. So I'm avoiding it to the death. No spoilers from no one. And that's the thing, right? As a streamer, if I would play it, then people would probably drop in here and spoiler it for me or play it for me. And so I chose to do this on my own. The music is brilliant. The whole game is fucking brilliant. I love it.
On her wedding day, and the white hair will just be a constant reminder of that. Second, it shows her lasting physical change. She's taken from the normal world and thrown into a maximum security prison, her name is changed, her fiancé leaves her, so the white hair is just another reminder that she can't return to the life of Susan Murphy. And lastly, it might be a reference to Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Her whole character is obviously
The
inspired by
50-foot
this.
woman!
Their Normica is even described as 49 foot
Such a
11
great
inches.
movie.
So her change from brunette to platinum hair
Wait,
might
Windows
be a reference to the way
updates?
Nancy
No.
Archer's hair changed from dark brown to blonde
My
after her
computer just
transformation.
wanted to
In the
restart
1990
itself.
It miniseries, Henry
Fucking
Bowers
Windows
falls victim to this
update.
instant color change after a traumatizing encounter with It. Diane Freeling gains white streaks after interacting with supernatural entities. The bride with white hair's hair turns fully white after being betrayed by her lover. Nadine Cross's turns after being assaulted by a demon. Leland Palmer's turns after being possessed by a demon. Nadine and Leland relate to another huge subcategory, where their white hair is a result of change related to death. Danny Phantom's ghost form has white hair. Pike Trickfoot's hair turned fully white after being brought back from the dead. Gandalf the Grey became Gandalf the White after his resurrection. In comics, characters like Ghost Rider and Red Hood gained white streaks after being revived. And of course, Ghost Rider is also related to death through his possession from the Spirit of Vengeance. A lot of these death-related characters develop the iconic streak after being brought back from the dead. John Ellman from the 1936 The Walking Dead and Dr. Xavier from The Return of Dr. X both have a white streak in their hair after being resurrected.
These are great
The Bride of
movies.
Frankenstein has white lightning bolt-shaped streaks on the side of her hair to symbolize her electric birth, as does Lily Munster, a character specifically designed to mimic the gothic appearance of the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, anyway.
His idea was put the lightning streaks up your hair. That was terrific.
James Whale, he was the director. And his theory was that
That's an
delicate,
iconic
beautiful
character,
people
right?
had the foul fiend themselves inside.
Sweeney Todd has a streak too. In a 2007 interview with Entertainment Weekly, when asked about the streak, Johnny Depp explained that, quote, the idea was that he'd had this hideous trauma from being sent away, locked away. That streak of white hair became the shock of that rage. So like a lot of past examples, this white streak is a result of trauma. But he's also the demon barber of Fleet Street, heavily related to murder and death. The Dies Irae pops up all over the place in this score. And the streak is definitely reminiscent of gothic 1930s monster flick.
Like dark hair and then streaks. Yeah. My very first VTuber, she had bright red hair with like white streaks, so it looked like bacon. And there was a toggle where her hair would shift completely white with like red streaks, like mint, like a peppermint. I don't know. Look very tasty. From bacon to peppermint. They're like red and white stripes, yeah.
And the last category relates to characters that have white hair because they're evil. One of the most iconic is Ursula from The Little Mermaid. As we've seen from characters in the other categories, white hair can be a result from toying with dark magic, which Ursula is definitely skilled in.
Dude, I think I changed my mind. Ursula is my favorite Disney princess. Yeah, Ursula. She the best. Yeah, braced as fuck.
She also appears to be older, has clearly known King Triton for some time, so it could just be reflective of her age. But the behind-the-scenes reason was that the animators based Ursula's design on the drag queen Divine.
Divine was an influence. Divine was this person that Howard knew from Baltimore, who's a cross-dressing guy who was in these John Waters movies.
Divine's larger-than-life appearance and status as an over-the-top performer matched with the concept that Little Mermaid was trying to launch, an animated Broadway musical. Cruella de Vil is
Really?
another
This
example.
is how they got the inspiration? I didn't even know that. Because that character is just so fucking brilliant.
Of an iconic Disney villain with, in her case,
Learn something
partially
new
white hair.
every day.
In the book,
Cruella
has hair that is black on one side and white on the other.
The hair was the last thing we figured out. Of course, she has that wonderful jagged kind of spiky, almost punk hairdo.
We're also so excited about Cruella de Vil. What's it like to wear that black and white hair and the makeup and the clothes? It's pretty trippy.
Her black and white hair is, of course, a
Yeah,
reference to her
kinda cool.
obsession with the
I like
similarly colored
it.
coats of the Dalmatians. In Once Upon a Time, magical ink spills on her hair, and in the 2021 movie, she's born with it, a feature that results in bullying as a child.
Look, a skunk's got loose in the building.
Which she dyes for a number of years before unveiling it when she fully delves into her cruel alter ego. But in the original 1961
so
film
hot,
and the
though.
1996 remake, her hair is just dyed to show
Look,
her split
Cruella.
personality. The high-fashion, elegant facade
Great
on one
villain.
side and her true wickedness on the other. Lil Gideon from Gravity Falls is a consistent antagonistic figure in the series, and he has a huge head of white hair. I assumed his white hair was an ironic visual indicator. He's a kid who acts like an adult and has had a hair color associated with elderly people since he was a baby. But apparently, according to a special edition journal, the amulet he wears whitens the hair of the user. This is similar to Lotor from Voltron. His white hair is both a representation of his half-Altean identity, but also possibly a piece of foreshadowing to his addiction to quintessence that ended up destroying his mother. Black Cat is another example of an anti-hero with white hair. She's named after a black cat, a stealthy creature, but she has this white hair that sticks out like a sore thumb. It shows that she's morally ambiguous, not fully
Wait,
antagonist.
there's a cat lady in Spider-Man. Didn't even know that. No, black cat. White hair. Huh? Missing out. Catwoman. She's it's Spidey. What?
But sometimes an ally. Another character that's not evil but is associated with the antagonist of the film is Mirage from The Incredibles. She fits under the category of the femme fatale. Her white hair relates to her being cold, but not in a temperature sense, in a personality sense, a calculated sense. She's sleek and put together, and she's designed with a visual contrast between the brightness of her hair and the darkness associated with espionage. Vera from Camp Camp also fits in this category of a cold-natured, icy demeanor being represented with bright white hair. So, with the characters out of the way, now it's time to move on to the history and symbolism. The earliest example I came across of spontaneous white hair is from the story of the Talmudic scholar Eleazar ben Azariah from 83 AD, a rabbi selected as head of the Israeli Talmudic Academy at 18, who overnight grew 18 rows of white hair, making him appear older, wiser, and more capable of taking on the leadership role. It was said that the stress of the position was what caused the change. Then, going forward, we have stories like Sir Thomas More's hair turning white the night before his execution in 1534, again due to stress. The most famous example of this, though, is Marie Antoinette, whose hair, the night before her execution in 1793, allegedly turned white. This led to the spontaneous changing of hair color to white to be called Marie Antoinette syndrome. These were all said to be caused.
Got a lot of white hair last summer because of all the stress, right? And the moving and I don't know, my life was falling apart anyway. It was rebuilding it. It didn't happen overnight though, but I noticed that after that summer, I just like, dude, what the fuck? Where are all these gray hairs coming from? Can't come from stress, definitely.
By extreme stress or trauma, a notion that we see pop up throughout media. Experiences with the supernatural, being revived, seeing a cosmic evil, all events that cause great stress on the mind and body, result in a streak or full head of white hair. Then there's the relation between white hair and power. Characters like Mara, Amalthea, Storm, and Kida have white hair and magical powers, which partially relates to white being an ethereal color used to depict otherworldly abilities, and partially relates to the historical practice of people in positions of power wearing white wigs. Powdered wigs were worn in court in the 17th and 18th centuries. They were mainly used to hide hair loss from syphilis, but they eventually became a symbol of authority and power. A character like Don Perry...
Dude, can we please bring back these hairstyles? Men, why did you stop wearing them? Dude, come on, like a...
They were mainly...
I don't know. People have more fashion, more... I know it's because of the syphilis and stuff. They were like, you know, they didn't have hair left, and that's why they all were wearing these toupees. But, oh, hell no. With all these rich, pish, you know, nice fancy pants. I don't know. People used to dress up way more back in the days, right? Now we're all wearing sweatpants and sweaty t-shirts and look like fucking hobos. I want to bring back the old-fashioned where they were just like wearing wigs.
Hair loss from syphilis, but they eventually became a symbol of authority and power.
Look. They look like a 1980s rock band or something. It's so fucking awesome. Ayo. I'm having that style at the minus 20 degree weather. Yeah.
A character like Don Paragon from Men Out of Nowhere appears to be intentionally designed with hair in the shape and color of these powdered wigs to add to his status and power over the nomad.
Bring back
white
the
hair
wigs.
is also obviously associated with age. So sometimes, giving a character some or completely white hair can communicate wisdom. Queen Eleanor from Brave was designed with a white streak in her hair, and it communicates her constant quiet power. She's queen, but behind all of her actions is the desire to protect Merida and help her grow into a mature person. Her hair is brown, but hidden in her youthful long braid is a white lock, displaying the stress and responsibility of being queen, but also the physical representation of her wisdom. Some people online also noticed the interesting coincidence that two movies came out within a year of each other, made by a studio and the one that owned it, which both took place in North Sea countries, and featured royal characters with a singular braid and white streak in their hair. One weird similarity that I discovered through exploring these white-haired characters was that a lot of them are related to the moon. Ginger Fitzgerald is a werewolf. Her change is sparked by the full moon. And when she transforms into her werewolf form, her hair turns white. Arthur uses the power of the moon to transform himself into a Minimoy, an animated miniature version of himself with white hair. The white-haired Princess Yue was saved by the moon spirit as an infant. Jack Frost was resurrected by the man in the moon as a teenager. Queen Serenity is the ruler of the Moon Kingdom, and Rayla is a Moonshadow Elf. The sun is bright, glowing, attention-grabbing. The moon is also bright and glowing, but it doesn't demand attention. It just invites it. The moon represents a sort of spiritual and cosmic mystery, so characters...
You know that the moon isn't really glowing, right? Like, the moon, as she puts it, the moon is also bright and glowing, just like the sun. Yeah, well, the moon is just reflecting back the sun. It's not that it's glowing on its own. The moon can't glow. It's not a flame ball. Dude, I love it. I love it. The moon is also glowing. Yeah, it's a reflection of the sun. You take away the sun, the moon would be dark. It's like, what?
Characters associated with it can be aloof and wise. That wisdom aspect relates to one of the triple goddesses. The crone is wisdom, transformation, and the waning moon. And the crone archetype is related to the next symbolism.
The
Witchcraft.
dark side of the moon.
One physical attribute associated with witchcraft is the Malin streak, a piece of white hair that can be gained after trauma is endured by the hair. Physical trauma indicative of emotional
It looks
trauma.
cool. I
Claudia
love
is a
it.
dark mage, Lilith is a member of the Emperor's Coven, Willow is a witch, Ursula is a sea witch, the evil queen's peddler disguise has white hair, and has
They're
the
all
aged
hags.
and shadowed caped appearance of the crone. These type of characters practice dark magic to, say, bring people back from the dead. Bringing people back from the dead is an
coat the
unnatural
moon
process.
imposter.
The trend of the gothic monster getting a white streak is a constant reminder
Glow
of
in
the
the
unnatural
dark.
nature of their creation. It shows the lasting impact of the spirit world, and the draining of color,
Yeah.
color being associated with life, and natural color being associated with the natural physical world, being changed by an interaction with the supernatural realm. And the last and most positive one, white represents purity. As far back as ancient Egypt, priestesses wore white as a symbol of purity. White doves have symbolized innocence and peace for thousands of years. White wedding dresses have been a tradition since Queen Victoria, a symbol of purity and new beginnings. The White Queen in Alice in Wonderland represents purity and peace, with her declaration to never harm living creatures. The arrival of white hair in Clair Obscur represents a character's awareness of reality and decision on how to handle their new start. In John Locke's An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, he raises a number of questions related to tabula rasa, the idea of a blank slate. He says, "Let us suppose the mind to be, as we say, white paper, void of all characters, without any ideas. How comes it to be furnished? Whence comes it by that vast store which the busy and boundless fancy of man has painted on it with an almost endless variety? Whence has it all the materials of reason and knowledge? To this I answer, in one word, from experience. White is a lack of everything, but the potential for anything.
Told you,
A white
like
streak can be imprinted on a person, and at the same time, be an indication of past experiences, and a blank slate
knowledge,
allowing them to choose how they'll internalize this change,
struggle.
and move to repair it, or fall into it. White hair has so many meanings
Like
related
energy
to witchcraft,
draining.
the moon, magic, rage, death.
Yeah,
It's a blank
magic.
slate able to be molded by the changes endured by each individual character.
You shared the pictures. Awesome. I like white hair. It's beautiful. Like I said, like my several of my previous VTubers all had like white hair or white stripes. And then before I turned like all bright white, and now it's more like blonde. Great video. I'm glad you liked it. Let me share it in the chat so you guys can watch it. There you go. Link is in the chat.